Hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited that today we're going to be speaking on ACTRA Toronto at Work with a group of background performers and stand-ins, and we're very lucky because it's very busy out there, and the people that I'm talking to today have taken time to come and spend that with us, and I know that work is happening, so that's a great news to report. So I'm here with Anett Rumanoczky. I probably butchered your name, but say hi, Anett.
Hi.
And Pearl Sun.
Hello.
And Angelica Alejandro.
Hi.
So I'm going to start with you, Anett. Just let me know a little bit about how you're doing briefly in this very bizarre time we're going through here with COVID-19 in the industry. How have you been holding up?
Well, personally, I'm having the best of my time because it's like I never had a break since I was 12. So it's amazing to like just take care of myself, take as much time as I need to like dealing with mental health and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But like being on set and going back to set, it's like, it's a mixture of happiness and confusion and anger and being furious and all that kind of mix.
Anger and furious. I wasn't expecting that at all, really. How first of all, how long were you off work, would you say?
Well, I was off from March to mid-July.
Mid-March to mid-July, essentially?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now to go back to the anger and the frustration and the fury, where does that come from?
Well, it's like, yes, I'm absolutely agreeing with all the testing and all the PPE and all the protection, but sometimes like most of the productions are taking their best, mm-hmm. but then in the end, it's just ends up a disaster.
In what way is it a disaster, would you say?
It's like, can I say examples without naming names?
Yeah. You don't have to name the name of the set, of course.
Like we had situations when it was amazing. They had separate parking lots. We had zones. So we like they told us which zone to arrive, and we had our separate zone check-in, separate zone bus, separate zone tent, and like everybody was separated, and it was amazing. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, background, let's go to set. So we are going to set, and then 100 background from 10 different zones mix up together, take your mask off, and it's an accident scene. So I spent like one night, I was hanging on a back of a firefighter for 12 hours, mm-hmm. but the firefighter was from a different zone. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So in the end, all this zoning and all these separations means nothing.
Right.
Because I have to touch a person from another zone, and on set we haven't had any sanitizer.
Mm-hmm. There was no sanitizer on set.
Right, I had my own, mm-hmm. because I have those packet things. Mm-hmm. But like, it was a giant accident scene.
I see.
So they cannot have a station.
I see. And presumably the firefighter was not wearing a mask.
Well, he was a firefighter. He was a real firefighter with his right. own gear. Mm-hmm. So probably he was fighting real fire 2 days ago.
Right. Was he wearing a mask though on set?
Like between takes, yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Like as soon as cut, mask is on, everything. So yeah, but during the take, mm-hmm. I was hanging on his back.
Right. And was on this particular set, were there tests done prior to coming
yes.
to set?
Okay. Yes.
That's like, good. That's good to know. We've jumped right into the action here. I can see. Like
I'm so sorry, but
no, that's great. That's great because you were being honest, and I asked you about how you were feeling, and that's.
But it's like again, getting tested a mm-hmm. week prior to mm-hmm. shoot. It's a fake feeling of security.
Right. Unless, of course, after you're tested, you just don't go anywhere and you self-isolate.
It's impossible. We are doing background every day. It's on a separate set. Mm-hmm. It's a different mm-hmm. set.
Uh-huh. So you're feeling. I'm hearing that you're feeling angry because you don't feel safe.
No, It's not like angry. It's more like, really?
Frustration?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, no worries. As long as I'm here to help. Well, thank you very much for the honesty, of course. And Pearl, where are you at right now with your with this whole situation with our health and with coming back to work? Or how have you been? Like, how have you been?
Similar to Annette, I appreciated the break, and it was a really good time to kind of decompress and figure things out for myself. Learned a lot about myself. I and then coming back to set, very much echoing Annette's sentiments. I was happy to be back and happy that it was busy, but it was very stressful and it was very confusing. And I think it's a miscommunication. Well, I wouldn't even say miscommunication, but it's communication between different productions and different productions having different
Protocols?
protocols. That's right. So some productions require you to test multiple times, and some productions don't. And because of all of that, all of these different protocols, it gets confusing, and it also takes away work days from us. To do one job or one day on a set, you might have to go through 2 or 3 days of testing, and you can't take work from those days on those days. So it does get frustrating, because just like Friday and Monday, I was being tested twice a day for 2 different productions, and I was running from one to the other. And I kind of was thinking, this is like, I'm basically going from one COVID test to the next COVID test. I get that it's for work, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the safety, that the safety measures are being taken, but it's hard, because we can't take full days, or we can't take days, and it's rough.
Right. And presumably when you're doing testing for 2 different sets, you're getting paid from both productions to go and take the tests?
We are, but because it takes away a whole day of work from us, it's significantly less pay than a base day that we might have on a set. So
a 2 test day is actually better than a 1 test day.
That's true. It's true, but but a lot of times we end up with just like 1 test. And again, it depends on the different productions. And it also, like I said, different productions have different protocols. So some productions take great care, and some productions don't. And masks have been masks have been very universal throughout. So that's been nice. But I find just the way crew on set have been telling us, have been kind of monitoring that. Some productions are really strict about putting the masks on, and if you don't have the mask on right away, the AD's right there telling you to put them on. And then there are some sets that are really lax about it. So, and it depends on the number of people on set that day. So if you have a large number of background, there are some that just decide, I don't want to wear it, and they don't, and it doesn't get taken care of right away.
And are they supplying you with the PPE?
They are, yes. Yeah, they are.
Well, that's a good thing. And taking temperatures presumably when you arrive on set?
Yes. I think that it needs to be made clear to background that needs to be done, because there are certain productions I've gone, like where I've gone to base camp, and their check-in tent is like, no, it's far, and they don't make it clear that you need to go to the check-in tent first, so some background just kind of go to holding and without getting checked in first. And
holding always sends you though then to get the.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just assume that you've gone, and they don't ask. So I've always I've made it a point now whenever I go to set to find out where the COVID checking tent is. So, but some sets don't, and so that's been kind of, it's been confusing in that sense.
May I ask you how long you've been working? You presumably working a lot in background in BG?
Yeah, for now it has been a lot in background. I am an actor as well, so protocol is a little different for actors on set.
So how do you find?
I think that there's, because the accountability is higher, I think, because you're dealing specifically with someone who's going to be interacting with lead actors on set, or interacting with, you know, zone A crew. I call them zone A crew, but like immediate crew. So there's a bit higher accountability in that sense, right? Like you're interacting a lot more with them. But with background, because you're kind of calling in large numbers at a time, it's hard to keep track, I think.
Anett, do you mind me asking what you've been working mostly in background? What type of work have you been doing?
Well, I started in July. I started as a stand-in. So I had 3 weeks as a stand-in, and after that, it's just, yeah, daily background.
And now we move to Vice President Angelica Alejandro. Hello, Angelica.
Hello.
Thank you
it's
very
almost
much.
like I'm doing this again for the second time, because I almost did this like in town hall.
You did, and we can't get enough of you, so that's why we have you back again. So talk a little bit about how you've been during COVID-19, during the pandemic since it started.
Well, I think as a fellow vice president and also national council counselor, and as well as an ACTRA Toronto counselor, David probably knows more than anyone, we've been really busy since March. And I think a lot of it was where we wanted to make sure that productions that were closing, that, you know, making sure that we could support our staff, whatever they needed, because they wanted to make sure people still got paid for any of the productions that were finishing. Then it was, you know, making sure that, hey, how can we make sure that as gig workers we're protected? What can we do? Who can we talk to? And, you know, just making sure that we could talk to our members of parliament and government to say, hey, you need to make sure that we're included, that we're not forgotten in the CERB. And then it was, you know, making sure, how do we come back to a safe workplace? So I was really happy to be part of the different focus groups for background stand-in as well as for performers, just to make sure that when they're asking what would make you safe, that we could all voice what we would need. And then knowing that all of that got taken into consideration, so that when a production puts in their health and safety protocols, you see it and it's like, wow, they listened. Thank you so much for valuing all of our input and taking all of that and doing something with it. So really grateful for all the work that, you know, all of our staff did, along with Section 21, putting those with all the other different guilds and unions. And then after that was just making sure that not only are we safe on set, but safe just in like our lives as well. So when we dealt with, and you know this as well, many of you have already seen all the work that our amazing diversity and inclusion, both at the national and Toronto level, are trying to do to make sure that everyone is protected, not only on set but in life, because, you know, this is our world, this is our community, and, you know, how welcoming and supportive is that. I mean, I think at the end of the day, for me, it's like you, David, we haven't stopped and we won't, because we want our performers to feel protected, safe, supported, and what they have and what they need. Because at the end of the day, I think we said it in the town hall, it's going to take a village. And honestly, I'll be really curious, this same conversation, you know how right now I almost feel like the first 6 months, it's our growing pain, our learning curve. What can we do and what can we make better? And maybe in another 6 months from now, or even like 4 months from now, to have the same conversation to say, hey, this is what we're doing more efficiently. Maybe it's like, you know, the pooling of, you know, all productions using one test facility, going in once to do that, whatever it transpires to be in the future. I'm just hoping that what we have now is a good foundation, so that where we end up is going to even be better. And hey, it may just make all things run more efficiently, because we all know production, it's literally like this gigantic military operation, so many different moving parts, but maybe this is going to help us move more efficiently and safer in the future.
I hope so, and certainly we are learning from what's going on all the sets that we hear about right now. And you are a super busy person, Angelica, because not only are you working as an on-set liaison officer, a nozzler, you're still teaching courses, respect on set courses, and you're VP with a number of files, plus you're a working performer. So what's it been like for you getting back to set as a performer?
I think as a performer, the one thing is, and a lot of people probably can relate to this, we bubbled within just our household, and then with your bubble group for so long, and then now on set it's a bunch of people you're interacting with closely that you haven't been around for how long?
5 months.
The thing is, exactly. So when you look at it, it's basically almost the same but different. So it's the same people that you've seen on this production, that production, but everything is that much more different. And in all honesty, I don't know about everybody else, but I like to, if I can't understand you, I look at your lips. Oh, is that what you're trying to say? And you can't do that with a mask.
Right.
So it's almost like it takes that much longer to convey the one sentence. It takes like another like 5 or 10 minutes. It's almost like you're playing charades. What are you trying to say? So I think the one thing, even when I go out as a performer or as an Oslo, is literally it's going to take that much longer. So we really have to almost pack the patience just on communication, because communication is going to be the one thing. It was really big before, but I think it should be even more, a thing now, where if you don't feel safe, if you have a concern, if you have an issue, if holding, you have a concern with holding, and also in terms of if you just have any general question, because no question's a stupid question, it's a question. And I bet you 10 other people have that same question. So being able to ask that more freely, and then having that support of having an answer back, I think that's really important.
I agree. So Anett, what's the atmosphere like on set, do you find, for you? The atmosphere generally when you're going to set?
The general atmosphere is always like everybody's happy to go. Everybody's happy to go back to work. And yes, I 100% agree on, yes, it's a learning curve. And I'm pretty sure 6 months from now, we will be in a totally different mindset and in a totally different position. But yeah, I think in general, it's happy.
That's good. That's good to hear.
With the additional frustration and the new questions of, yes, we are getting paid for 2 hours for a COVID test, but that takes a whole day off. I ended up had to cancel something or I had to say no for something because I cannot make the COVID test because I'm taking a COVID test.
Oh, and they happen to be scheduled at the same time.
Yes. And it's like, sorry, I can't do this COVID test because I'm doing another COVID test.
Yeah.
So it's like, can we do this? Like everybody's saying, it's like, well, it's your privacy. We cannot share this information. And it's like, I'm more than happy to sign a waiver.
Yeah.
I probably already donated my kidneys 3 times in that package, what I'm signing at 3 a.m. without reading it.
Right.
Like,
I don't think they're allowed to take your kidney. I know I think that's a rumor.
I'm more than happy to give it up if
if you don't have to take another COVID test. That's
like,
very funny. But how do you feel? How do you feel about what's going on set, Pearl? The atmosphere.
Yeah, like Anett said, generally everyone is just very happy to be back at work. I mean, we went for so long without work, and it was just so unpredictable for so long, and we didn't know what was happening with our industry, and so just seeing everything kind of come back up has been great.
So what's it like? Everyone is the whole crew is PPP'd up. And I don't know if you're allowed to say PPP'd, but I did. They're PPP'd up, and they have to communicate with you, and you have to read them without this, as Angelica was saying. Has that been challenging for you, trying to understand what the hell people are conveying?
A little bit, but at the same time, I mean, we've been on sets before, so usually we can kind of figure out what they're trying to tell us to do, just because generally it's all quite similar, right? This is where you're holding, this is when you, and they're quite clear. I think I was just on a set, I just came off of a set for the last 2 days where there were some crew who I guess were touching, there was not touching, but just, like the way they just put pushing us in the direction, and I'm just like, I understand what you're trying to, what they're trying to do, and I get that maybe it's hard for them to convey with the mask on, but at the same time, we're all professionals in that sense, and that we've been doing this for a while. We do know, and that was just the one set though. For the most part, crew have been really, really good about keeping their PPE. I haven't seen any crew not with their PPE, and they're really good about being able to tell us what they want us to do without having to take it off, which is great.
Right. And Angelica, how's it been for you on set?
From two perspectives. So I will say the one thing is at the very, very beginning, when I was a little, even you're kind of thinking, okay, we're actors, we can do this. But you still have that sort of like hesitation. It's just, I haven't been with all these people for so long. So literally when my husband, who's actually on set now, which is why he couldn't join us, had his first booking, it was, okay, so, we'll need a couple. Do you have it? I thought, you know what, this is a perfect way for me to jump right in there. And also it was nice because then I could be with him and, we could do it together. Because the one thing is, it's that you're both a little hesitant and a little scared. So I will say from that perspective, just being with that crew and on that production, it was that side. It's like,
Sure.
Okay, this, it's different, but the same, and we can do this. So then you're really excited about going back to work and such. And I guess, coming back, for all performers, not just our background and stand-up performers. They're quite versatile. We already know, hey, we can do this. We just kind of like roll with the punches, move with everything. But I think it's just, you kind of wanted to know what you were getting into. So that little ease into it helped. As an Oslo, as everyone knows, because they usually see me in this getup, I usually hear a lot from our background performers. Their concerns are always, this is how it is now. What's it going to be in the winter? Just because right now some of the things are outside. So hopefully, productions, and a lot of them have been very good. It's, oh, this is how it is now. It's going to be a little colder. We're going to have to make this arrangement and then this arrangement, because we don't have, really great weather all year round. Yeah. So I'm thinking that for background performers right now, a lot of the concern will be as we move towards the winter, but a lot of productions have already, kind of planned and have that foresight to say, this is what we're going to do as soon as it hits this temperature. But literally as a performer, I've just been very grateful that, and I will say this because these two wonderful folks have not, they've downplayed the amazingness that they are. So I will say both Pearl and Anett, not only with many of our background performers, they do everything. And I don't mean everything from the sense as on set. They also do background, they do stand-in. Sometimes they, you'll also find them doing voice work. A lot of the times they'll also work with crew. A lot of the times they're also principal actors. I will say the one thing is, if you want to know how it is on set, definitely a background performer, stand-in, will tell you how it is, and they will also make sure to tell you what we can do to make better. And the one thing is that I want to also encourage everyone too, and this is, as a performer, I would do this as well, to make sure to communicate, talk to your PA first to say, hey, there's something here, we should try to fix it because, we need it to, make this better for the rest of the day, whether it be in holding or in satellite holding, and then allow production to have the ability to then make those changes and make better. In lieu of that too, you also have the amazing work, and I'm not just saying this because, I work very, very closely with them, but, our chairs, our advocates, as well as our, our business reps, communicate with them too, because they're also there for you. Because the only way that we're going to make sets better for all of us is also to be able to communicate. So as a performer, that's what I've done. And also that's what I encourage background performers to do, to make sure that when you're on set, that you're having a good day, because that's what we want for everyone.
Right, and you're learning how to read people without having to see their mouths moving when they're talking. I was working recently on a set, and at lunch they had created plexiglass X's where people could sit down at these tables and be protected by the plexiglass while looking at somebody in front of them and eating and not spraying on them. And I remember walking by a group of the crew who were sitting there eating, and I went, who are those people? Because I had never seen them without their masks on.
And meanwhile, they're waving at you saying, hey,
So what type of adjustments have you had to make personally with your performances in this time? Do you find that that's changed at all? I'll go to you, Pearl, first. Have you found that you've had to adjust certain things?
With doing background or?
Well, doing background in this particular time, right?
You know, it's just when they yell cut, you put your mask on, and then when they usually, I've learned now that not to take it off until picture's up. And then you take it off, you put it in your pocket. I think a big thing is trying to hide it. You know, sometimes it's depending on what you're wearing, like it's like hard to hide your mask, and then, you know, and to keep it safe. I think that's a big thing. Some sets I've been on have provided us with like little baggies for us to put our masks in. Some sets don't, which case I find I have to be really vigilant about changing the mask, you know, at least 2 or 3 times, just because it's just being taken off, putting it like off, on, off, on, off, on. And I think it's been hard for makeup. I do feel for them. You know, you do your makeup and you put the mask on, and it does affect your makeup. It affects your face, and you know, so it's been trying to find a way to do your own and trying to find a like something that works and makes makeup happy. But with certain looks, specific looks, I think it might be a little more difficult. I think if I was on a set that had us in cosplay, and that's very specific makeup, and having the mask on doesn't help it. You know, they don't. Most productions I've been on so far don't provide background with the face shields. Right. I think and it could just be a budget thing, because I know the face shields are quite expensive. But I do think that if it's a certain thing where makeup is very important to the scene, especially if we're doing specific makeup for us and it's not just regular everyday makeup, that face shields should be provided, just because it's so much easier on people who are doing makeup. And
absolutely. Yeah. And Anett, how have you found that you've had to adjust your performance during this time?
My performance is like, it's the same. It's just me, but like everything else with it. So every time when I'm leaving my place to go to work, my landlady just looking at me is like, "Is she moving out secretly?" Because I have my suitcase full of costume, and then I have a backpack full of layers, because our holding is outside. The tent doesn't have walls because of the airflow, so we have to have layers on. So it's a backpack of layers, and then it's a separate bag for food because I'm bringing my own food. Sorry, I'm worried about catching anything, and I just want to make sure I have food with me, because sometimes we have it, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have to wait for 4 hours to get a goodie bag. So it's like 5 bags, like going to the car and then swearing to get to set, and like everything is hanging on me. That's what's the new hard part. Right.
The swearing part of it, I think, is very important. I think that's the swearing.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the release. It's the release. Yes, you need to release it for sure. You said that you bring your own food with you, Anett. Why is that the case?
Well, it's first of all, it's because of my own safety. Second of all, when it's like, yes, we have a new meaning of BC and AC. It's not before Christ, after Christ anymore. It's before COVID, after COVID. So BC, we used to have a craft table, and you can get like an apple or a free oranges or whatever you please. Now it's usually a sad PBJ and a handful of crackers. So I cannot function on that.
The sad PBJ actually has a little frowning face on it?
After 3 hours, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah,
I see that. So you bring your own stuff for yourself.
So I just bring my own stuff because just for my quality of day.
What about lunch?
Oh, lunch is awesome. They are like emailing at you, what do you want? And you can pick and choose and email it back. And it's like order, like it's almost like being in a hotel room. It's like, okay, I want this one and that one.
Room
and
service, as you're saying, it's room service.
yeah, it's nice.
And
so I love lunch.
How is it delivered? Sorry.
It comes in a separate box. Sometimes you have a number, or your name is on it, or they have like menu A, B, C, D, and you are lining up and they are like, okay, which menu did you order? And you said it's like menu 3 with a Caesar salad. And then it's like all like prepared separately in a box. Nobody's like touching your food. It's a plastic box or a paper box with cutlery. So that lunch is awesome. I love the new lunch.
Yeah.
How do you feel about lunch, Pearl?
It's great. I love it. Like, you know, it's like the buffet style is non-existent anymore almost. And I love just like having, you know, being able to pick your food ahead of time, being able to know what's on the menu ahead of time. And then having it not delivered to you. Sometimes it's delivered to background holding. Sometimes you go pick it up, but it is in a box. Like it's in a prepackaged box with your own cutlery. It's so much easier in that case, because it's just like you have your own portion of food. With the snacks, it's just for the sets I've been on, they just give you kind of a brown paper bag with snacks already in them. But it's true. Sometimes in the bag, they're just food that I just can't eat, or things that I wouldn't have picked for myself from a craft table. So that's why I, like Anett, I do bring my own snacks as well. Because it's just, you know, just to make my day a little more comfortable. There are some sets that will give you like literally just like an orange, you know, and like 2 cookies in a bag. And you're like, well, that's my day, you know? And then there are some sets that forget to give you that little bag. So then you're like, oh, like I was on a set where they just forgot to give it to me. And, you know, I was sitting in my car the whole day because I had to bring my car to set. And I was in there for like 6 hours without any food or water. And I was like, I don't, you know.
The water is available?
Sometimes I find more often than not, I have to ask for it. Usually in the bag, they might provide you a bottle of water. Some sets though, they don't. And then you're having to ask for it, which is fine. Like if you ask for it, they are really good about giving it to you. So that's nice.
How have you found the food, Angelica?
As a performer, as well as when I go on set. And I also, the one thing is, first of all, I'll say this. I've had many folks from all different age ranges when I've gone to Oslo say, this is the best thing. We get food and it's great food. Some are a little bit more challenged with, like, you know, the ordering app, which is fantastic. As Anett both said, it's like, wait, we can order all of this. It's great. But a lot of the times there is like the food for order for your lunch. And then there's also sometimes a separate craft order system. So maneuvering through that. But at the end of the day, when I see the different range of ages that are on set, from our younger performers all the way to our older performers, just knowing, because, you know, David, we fought very hard to make sure that everyone would be welcome back on set and everyone would feel safe going back to set, from our older performers to our younger. It's nice that they all think that this is really cool. I think it's just the challenge of maneuvering through that technology. You know, exactly like with the vouchers and such, it's going to be a big thing that we have to work through and make more efficient and learn through. There are going to be growing pains, but I'm hoping that with performers and their feedback, as well as productions, as well as our ACTRA film, television, and digital media staff that try really hard to make sure that all concerns are brought up, I'm hoping that all of this, that we'll be able to say, yeah, everything's running more efficiently, because I'm confident that there is that future that we're heading towards.
Thank you. And of course, if you ever have any questions, you can always contact ACTRAToronto.com. You can do it either via email, or you can do it through me, through Angelica, or you can call. There's always somebody going to be returning your call.
That's awesome. You've got your advocates, you've got your chairs. It's like, yay.
Yeah. Angelica, what adjustments do you find that you've had to make?
I will say this because in my family, so in my family, we have multidiscipline performers. So the makeup of my family alone, it's, goes the gamut for all performance categories. But the one thing that we have kept and we made sure of is to keep a note for our allergies. Because that is one thing where if you look at it's like a declaration, you're saying, okay, yes, I haven't been out of the country for 14 days. And you go through it, you're thinking, but some of this is because I have allergies. Keeping a note that you have allergies, so important, because when someone looks at you, say, no, I have a note, I've got allergies. It'll help in the long run. I think that's one adjustment, not necessarily.
Sorry, are you talking about food allergies or physical?
No, just like seasonal allergies.
Oh, okay.
So it's one of those things where it's, if you're sneezing, it's because of what's in the air or whatnot, not necessarily because of this. So I think not so much on the performance side, but it's almost like, as Anett was saying too, it's like your prep. So you have that also too, because, a lot of places are trying to, and I think it's great because if you're trying to be efficient and not just have a bunch of paper lying around, but by going paperless, it's okay. Now, what is the challenge in that? And I always tell everyone, even if you're signing one of those electronic paper things on a tablet, please take a photo. Take a photo if it's as many things as you need to, because it's your peace of mind. It's also production knows that you have a copy, because I'm very much a techie. That's my background, but I will tell you that it's not always fail safe. So always having a copy of everything that you've signed would help. A copy of your electronic voucher would help. When you're signing in and when you're signing out. And I think the one other thing that I would probably say is that in terms of knowing, like Pearl said, where to check in, because that's one thing where I have so much bags, as Anett would attest to. I have so many bags. I'm going to put it, wait, no, can't put it in holding it. Okay, wait, leave it in my car, go to check-in. Not forgetting check-in is the most important. Whether you're, the performer, whether you're also going to set, whatever it is, that's the most important thing. And those are the people too that are going to make sure that you have a mask. If you don't already have a mask, they'll also have baggies, but carrying your own. I think a lot of it is just not necessarily, I won't necessarily say housekeeping, but also having your kit. So what do I need to go to work, regardless of, what performance category you're in? What do I need to go to work? I need a mask, I need a baggie, like having that list, just having it with you. And it's just making it that much more that you're prepared. And it's also just a professional thing to do as a performer.
Right. So there are three things that we have to remember when we're going anywhere for COVID to not spread it. And that is the mask, that is the hand washing, and that is the physically distancing ourselves. So how have you found the sets dealing with these three issues? And you can, Pearl, you want to start?
Sure. They've been pretty good. Most sets I've gone to have a hand sanitizing station with the masks beside it. And it's right at the door. So you come in and you know exactly where it is. There was one set I'm on quite continuously, like where I met, Angel's husband and I are both on, where they have set up almost like individual booths for background. So it's like you have your own little confessional, and it's it's got a curtain on it, and so it's got it's got a little light, it's got a chair, and that keeps us safely distanced.
Is there a priest?
No.
Just checking,
Just me and my thoughts. But it's great because it keeps us all in one place in the studio. The ADs know where to get us, and there's we all know where we're going. It's become almost a routine for us now. We go in there, we know where to check in, we know exactly where to go, and they're really good about putting all of your props in a bin. And they told us ahead of time, when you return it, they have these Lysol wipes. You just wipe it down, put it back on a shelf. Like it's kind of become routine for us now because we've been on that show quite a lot. That's one show, but for the other sets I've been on, they have done a pretty good job at giving us our chairs and telling us where to sit so that we are all spaced out and we're good. Just to go off of what Anett and Angelica said about being prepared is like it's really, really important. Absolutely is important because, it could say interior, but your holding could be exterior and that could really suck. So, what I really did was I went to like Walmart and just got like one of those space makers, those like those box pencil cases that kids have, and I bought like a ton of hand sanitizer from Bath and Body Works or wherever, and I just stick them in there. I have a bunch of pens in there and a bunch of masks in there and plastic baggies just for my mask, just in case, you know, because you never know. It depends on the set, like I said, right? Some, like most sets are good about it, but you just never know. So I always have that with me as, like, I call it my COVID kit. So I always have that with me just as a, you know, just to be prepared.
Mm-hmm. I think
But
that's
yeah.
very good advice too, to be giving people. Anett, how do you feel that those three primary directives are being handled on
Yeah,
set?
in general, it's really good. Like every holding is, yeah, they all have the hand sanitizers, everything is how it should be. The only question is when we are getting to set. That's when it's like some sets cannot set a sanitizer station in the middle of the set because you can't. So you need a little thing with you what you may or may not forget. And as a stand-in, and yes, I 100% agree with all the actors. It's like if it's a makeup, then it's really hard to have the mask on.
Mm-hmm.
But as a stand-in perspective, when I have to sit down right after you and I have to take my mask off, please keep your masks on, no matter what, because if you are rehearsing a full scene, spitting around
Mm-hmm.
and not putting your mask on between takes because of your makeup, sorry to say that, but if you are saying I'm not putting my mask on because of my makeup, it means your makeup is more important than my life.
I hear you. And Angelica?
I'm gonna have to like agree with both, because not only are both very seasoned and amazingly talented, what both Pearl and Anett have said is, you know, I think right now it's, everyone calls it the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of it as the current, because this is what it is now. But everything that we're doing, everything that we're trying to put in place, everything that production, that actors trying to do, all the different guilds and unions are trying to do, is because we need to do this now to make sure that we don't shut down. So everyone doing their part so that we don't shut down, that we're able to continue and have the films, the series, that everything come here, because we're a pretty awesome place to film. We've got amazingly talented folks all over, all across the board.
Yeah.
So I think if we can do this and maintain, and productions will look and say, hey, they're professional, they're great, they're safe, let's keep coming here, then, like many of the people who wanted to join today, you know, they're busy working. We'll all be continually busy working, because I know, you know, right now, I know I'm grateful because I know Pearl has someplace to be, and so is Anett. So it's just really great to be here now, taking this space, so that hopefully the performers that haven't gone back yet, because again, we all have different reasons. You could have folks at home, people that you're taking care of, but hopefully this will give them some insight. And then when they are ready, that they know. But you know, I'm hoping that we can also do this again. Like, you know, we've been saying this is now, and, you know, trying to create that efficiency so that we'll, you know, we never know, like in maybe 6 months, seeing how everything's running like a well-oiled machine, it'll be great to kind of check in. But I hope that this will give performers who are already on set, haven't gone to set, or contemplate on doing it in the future, some idea of what to expect. But again, it's one thing where, when we're in holding together, even though we are socially distanced and physically apart, that we're still in it together, that it's still very much like takes a village to make that production successful. So hopefully it's keeping that, even though we have to be apart, that we're still in it and communicating together to make sure that sets are safe, that, you know, we are all safe and going to work in an environment that allows us to do our best as performers.
Well, thank you very much for that, Angelica. I think that I'll ask you now, can we meet in 6 months, let's say, and see how it's going there? That would be really nice if you guys if you folks are not working, that would be wonderful. We'd love to check back in with you and see how things are going. And for now, thank you very much, Anett and Pearl, Angelica. Thank you for your time and for being here. And I wish you safe sets. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.